Yes, hello. Welcome to day 14. Welcome to day 14. If you are here and are connected, write connected. If you are here and are connected, write connected. Welcome to day 14. Type connected if you are online. If you have joined us, type connected. For those that are watching, type connected. If you are connected, type connected. If you are connected, type connected. If you are connected with us on day 14, type connected. If you are here with us, if you are watching, type connected. Type connected. Type connected. If you are here with us, yes, I've seen someone now. Type connected. If you have joined online, type connected. If you are with us on day 14, type connected. If you are with us on day 14, type connected. Make sure you like it as you join. Make sure you like it as you join and type connected. All right, so we can move on. So thank you so much for joining us again. Thank you for joining us for day 14th. If you have been here from day 1, type 100%. Type 100%. If you have been with us from day 1, type 100%. If you have been with us from day 1, type 100%. If you have not been with us from day 1, type 50%. If you have been with us from day 1, type 100%. If you are just joining or you joined halfway, type 50%. Let me know those who are ready, those who are available, those who are ready, those who are available, those who are available. Okay, so great. Without wasting much time, we on our day 13 we look at HTML, and if you know that you have done your assignment, just screenshot your web page. Let's see how it looks like. Screenshot your web page. Let's look at how it looks like. So we are continuing with JavaScript today. We are continuing with JavaScript today. Okay, thank you, Sunday. 100%. All right. If I think we should just go back to our JavaScript. Yesterday we were looking into JavaScript. We have treated CSS. We look at style, background, and all that. But there are two things that I did not mention, which is there is a type that is called hyperlink. Hyperlink, which is the A tag. The A tag helps you to navigate. Have you ever been wondering how you connect one page to the other? Now, if you have two pages, you can have like your css.html. So let's just create two pages, and then we'll look at how to connect the two. So the first page, call it menu.html. The first page, call it menu.html. And what are we going to do? Just if you are not seeing what I'm showing, you can just refresh your browser. You should be able to see, because at times internet delay could also cause that. So here we are dealing with the A tag, which is the hyperlink. So we are going to create a file. Call the file menu.html. 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 So here in this menu.html, we are going to create the same thing that we normally do. Your web page, you will start with HTML tag, HTML, and then within the HTML you have the head tag, right? You have the head, and within the head we have the title. So this title, let's call it bootcamp menu, because we want to do navigation. Bootcamp menu. Okay, let's see. Okay, hold on. Let's see if Google Chrome is being displayed. So let's look at it, and after this I'll probably change the screen back. Let's see this, and okay, so now that we can see the screen, I'll probably go back to the VS Code so we can see the code. Okay, great. So like I said, we are going to create two files. We may even create more, but we'll start with two files. And the first one, call it menu.html. Call it menu.html. Call it menu.html. And then you have the head, you have the title, call it bootcamp menu. So after the head, next we have the body, right? We have the body, and within the body we can now have our documents. Now what we want to do is that we will have a simple page, and this page we'll call it let's call it our header tag. Let's call it bootcamp navigator. Navigator, and then we'll create a title. I will have let's say list now, unstructured list, like we have done before. UL, in this UL, and then you have li item, list item. The first item, I'll put it in a bold tag. Let's put it in a bold tag, B tag, and then we'll call it let's call it menu. You can call it menu, you can call it links, whatever you are comfortable with. Then let's have the navigation. So here let's say about, let's say li. I'll call it about us. Another list item, we will call it contact us. And then the next one, let's call it what do we want to call it? Let's call it source codes. Li source codes. Now let's say we have this. Now each of these items, we want it to take us to another page. So we want it to take us to another page. So how do we make this to take us to another page? Currently, if you go back, and we go to our web page, you may see something like this. Let's navigate to where the file is. So we have menu.html. Now, so for the menu.html, if you go here, so in the menu.html, if you refresh the page and you click, as you click the menu.html, you should have a menu, and then you have about us. If you are online and you have joined, please like the current video or page. So you will see Bootcamp Navigator. So we have Bootcamp Navigator, and you can see our menu. You will have learned about CSS, so let's just create a simple CSS class. Let's call it style sheet. We are going to add a simple class. We are going to have a simple class to what we already have. Say, let's go. So in the style, I want us to have some, style sheet. So the first class, we just call it, let's call it menu bar, right? And for the menu bar, whatever thing that is the menu bar, we want it to be bold. So if we want it to be bold, we can say font size. Let's say it's 36 px, and font weight is how bold it is. So let me just say it's 400. That is our menu bar. Then for the links, so let's call it menu link or menu item. So our CSS call it menu link. So for the menu link, the font size, we want it to be let's say it is let's call it 20 or no, 16px. Let's do 16px. And then the hyperlink, we don't want it to show hyperlink. So if you don't want it to show hyperlink, you can remove what we call text decoration. You can see text decoration is none. As you wish it to be. So we'll say text decoration is none. So if we do that, all this item now, for this one, for the B class, let's say class equals to menu bar. That's a class. Then for all this, for us to navigate, for us to be able to navigate, we will now use what we call the anchor tag. Anchor, A for anchor. So we use anchor tag. That is A. The anchor tag has this. We have A, and it has these attributes. It has href. The href means that the reference link that it needs to connect to. So if we go back to have our anchor tag A href, currently because there is no page, it's not going to any page, so I will just put hash. If you put hash in your anchor as the value of the href, you are simply saying that it should remain on the current page. current page. So we have this, and then you have this for the source code. Let me say this now. So we have our links, but we have not applied style sheet to it. We have only added class to the menu. So if you save it and refresh, if you go back and refresh, you should be able to see this. Let's refresh. You will see menu, you will see about, and you can see that there is a clickable link. There is a clickable link on it. There is a clickable link. There is a clickable link. There is a clickable in. There is a clickable link, right? So you can click on it, you can click on about, you can click on contact us, you can click on source code, but because we have put hash in the href, it means that it cannot go to any page. It can only go to itself. Now let's say about us should go to another page called about us, right? So all we need to do is to go back and create a page called about. Let's go and create about. Let's go and create about. Or we can just create those dummy pages. Let's do that. Let's create those dummy pages. We are going to have let's create about.html. About.html. Here I will just say about page, h1 about page, and then I'll put another link here. I will call it back. Another link h, then href will be equal to, from here I want to go back to the menu, so menu.html. Then the message should be please go back to the menu. So that's what we want to have for the about page. Let's do the same thing for contact. New file, we call it contact.html, and then I'll call it contact us, right? Then what else? On our menu page we have about us, contact us, and then we have source code. So let's create another page, call it sources.html. So we have sources.html. So here I will say source codes for Bootcamp. And then we also have a link here, the link with reference page that needs to go back to HTML. Now, so if we go back to our menu.html, and go to the list items, we can now say that instead of this hash, you should go to about.html. Instead of the hash for contact, you should go to contact.html, and instead of source code, you should go to sources.html. So once we have done this, the next thing is to probably check it how it looks like. Let's check it how it looks like from our web page. Let's check how it looks like from our web page. Let's check how it looks like from our web page. So if you go back to the web page and you refresh, well, the menu.html may not look like it has changed, but it has actually changed. So refresh your screen if you are not seeing the web page. So you have the web page. So with the web page, you can click on any link. You can click on any link. So if you click about us, it takes us to the about us page, and then we have a go back. You can click on contact us. It goes to contact us page. We click go back, and then we have a source code. You click on it, it takes you back to source code. So that is it. That is that is it in terms of navigation. Now let's go back to JavaScript. Let's go back to JavaScript. Let's go back to JavaScript. Now in JavaScript, we were taught about let's go quickly review with JavaScript. JavaScript, I told you that to define a variable, you use let name equals to Festus. That's how you define a variable, and the data type will be inferred. The data type will be inferred. And then if you want to have a constant variable, then you can say const. You can use const. Say const pi equals to 3.142f. The f stands for float, so let's just say 3.142. Constant pi equals to 3.142. So this is a constant. You use const to define constant, and I told us that whether it's number, any kind of number will be inferred from that definition. So, and then we can also have we can also have an object. We can have an object like class. For you to define an object, all you simply need to say let's say student now, which is an object, equals to once you start with a call brace, whatever you start with call brace, that equals to an object. So this is like an empty class. This is like an empty object. This is like an empty object, an empty class. We can improve on this and say that, okay, the student should have an ID 1, 2, 3, 4. Should have a name, say Kiyoshi. It should have maybe department, say electrical engineering. So here you have just instantiated an object, and this object can be updated at any time. For example, you can say that student dot name equals to, let's say I want to add surname to this name. I can say student.name equals to Kiroshi Yamaha, right? And then we can add a property that is not available to the class already, or to the object. For example, student dot say age equals to 19 or 18. Student dot age equals to 18. So internally, what you have done is that you have created a new variable in the student's object, and you have passed these parameters to them. That's how to create objects. That's how to create objects in the JavaScript. Then we also have arrays like you have done in Java, which is a collection of data, or grouping of data. So how do you define array? So let's maybe students now. Students equals to anytime you use rectangular brackets, you are defining an array. So this is like a collection of students. Do you understand? And then you can say, how do you add something to an array in JavaScript? You call a method called push. You call push. So you can say students dot push students. So that push the student object there. You can also add an object on the fly. Instead of defining the student like this, you can add it on the fly. For example, we can just copy this. Let's say this now. You can also say students dot push. So we are constructing a new student object on the fly without assigning it to a variable, and say, so 1 2 3, they said this is 5, and this is Dino, and this one is political science. So you push. So to push to an array, to add into an array, you use push in JavaScript. You use push in JavaScript. And then just like the way you iterate in Java, you can also iterate with JavaScript arrays. Like say, let's say we want to print everything in students. We can say for, in Java you say integer s equals to this. You start with the index, the condition for stopping the loop, and then the end of the loop. So you do the same thing here by saying, for instead of saying integer x, you just say let x equals to 0, x less than students dot length x plus plus. Then you can say, okay, let students s, which is the student, equals to students of x. That's one way, students of x. That gives us that. And then we can print out the student. We can say console.log let's say student name first, s.name, and then plus the details. So we can just say plus if you do this plus this and then comma s, that will print the whole object, the whole JSON object, of the students. Or if you want to, take each value one by one, you can do that. You can take the name, department, ID. You understand? So you can do that. So that's a way of iterating through array. There is another way to iterate through array, which is using what we call, this is called for loop. This is called for loop, for traditional for loop. Now there is another one which is called functional for each loop. Now for the for each loop, JavaScript has a way of running through the range. So you can say that students, which is the array, you say students dot for each, for each. Then you have s, which represents the students, followed by arrow command. And then automatically what that does is that student dot for each covers for let s equals to 0 up to this, and then get student. So everything in the line 14 and 15 had been compressed to just one line. In fact, the whole of line 14, 15, 16, 17 is now compressed to a single line. I can just say console.log. The console.log is the same thing like your system.out.println in Java. So console.log, whatever thing that we have here, we can bring it back. Console.log. You see that this one is in a way is neater. It takes less space. The functional for each, you can see for each. This is for iterating. Now let's say we want to modify the arrays. Let's say we want to modify the arrays. Now we can say that you will use the map. So student modification while iterating. So here you can, if you want to modify the data before, probably you print it out and things like that, you can say students. Let's say for every student that I have there, maybe they fail matric, maybe they fail, or they don't have none of them have attended class, and we want to give them a default mark of 40. You can do that modification. So I can say students, which is the array. I'm just using students. It could be anything and things like that. For example, we can have an array of integers, and then we want to sum them together and things like that. Okay, so student.map, you use map when you want to modify. You use map, and then let's say student for this, let's say student s. And then whatever thing you want to do, you can say here you can say return students. Okay, let's say for this, say return s dot so we want to return this, so we can just say, okay, let's say let's s equals to so s dot score. Let's say s dot score equals to 24. S dot 4 equals to 24, then return s, or as many things that we want to modify. Let's say 40, then return s. So what this will mean is that if you print out the students again, you find out that every student now has score, which does not exist before, and the value of the score is 40. Also, we can perform summation on an array. We can do any other stuff with it. So you go and research into, look at how you can use the functional iterator on JavaScript arrays for summation. I think I will give you that. Just like the map, you have that of a summation and things like that. Okay, having said that, we have looked into array. Now, okay, I hope you're able to see now. Having looked into array, let's look at another type of collection which we are familiar with, and that is map. You know, map is what? Map is a key value pair. Map is a key value pair which you use thank you, Bengus, which you use to connect, key value pair that to store data items. In Java, you will probably have declare an hash map, and then you put the two values there. Here, map in Java, in JavaScript, is also like that object that you have. It's just like you say, so let's map this equals to this. That is one way. Another way is to probably say, let's say dictionary now, or DB, let's say database, equals to new map. So you can actually have new map. If you have new map like this, you have already said that you have a map, and so which means that you'll be able to put the key value pair, anything into that map. So I can say db.put say student ID. Say we did country capitals the other time. So let's say Nigeria, country capitals, Nigeria, and then you put the information about Nigeria. So let's say Abuja. Then db.put. So instead of saying db, to make it more reasonable, I can just call it country capitals. Let's call it country capitals. So country capitals dot put this, country capitals dot put say Sweden here, and we say Stockholm. Let's say we have country capitals dot put say USA, and then we have New York, right? And then we have so let's just have that. So that is how to make use of a map. Now for your assignment, you are going to create a student map. in JavaScript, create a student map in JavaScript, which is going to store, it's going to use the student ID, like what we did in Java. I want you to replicate it in JavaScript. So you have a student map, and you are going to put something into that map. Next is that we look at methods in JavaScript. Methods. I already told us that functions are, operations are the same in terms of symbols. So the plus symbol is to do plus, the asterisk for multiplication, the double pi for logical or, and so on and so forth. The backslash for division, backslash for decision, for backslash for modulus. So we take a look at methods. Methods in JavaScript are called functions. They are called functions. So, and you just declare like function. Just say anything you start with function is a function, and then the name of the function. The name of the function. So the name of the function, let's call it sum. And then this sum, oftentimes data types are not defined, but when we get to TypeScript, we're going to deal with that. So you just put the two variables that are expected, and here I can say return a plus b. So that's how to write function in JavaScript. That's how to write function in JavaScript. Then for JavaScript, we have variables, we have internal variables like private variables, and then you have global variables. Any variable that is designed or that is defined outside your function is a global variable. Global variable. For example, let's say I say let total equals to 0. Here total is a global variable. Total is a global variable, and then this one I can say, total equals to total, total plus a plus b. So total will keep increasing anytime you call sum, because this is outside. But if you define, say, total here, this total is not visible outside. It's not the same thing as the total that is 0 here. So if you print this total, you are going to always get 0, no matter how many times you call the sum that has total, because the total inside the sum is a private variable. It's a private variable. So we have a global variable. Now let's say you can also have a function to say calculate area. Say function calculate. You see that there is no definition of return type and things like that. This is what we call vanilla JavaScript. Function area. Okay, function calculate area. Then let's say shape, and then we have length, we have a breadth, we have probably height. Here now, what we want to do here is that anytime we call a calculate area, depending on the shape, we want to return the area. Now, so here in the shape, we can say that if shape equals to 1, we are going to be doing, assuming that we are going to say return length times breadth, length times, where is my asterisk, times breadth. So we are saying that this is if the shape is one, maybe it's a rectangle, rectangle. So else if you can see our logical statement now. So else if shape equals to 2. Let's say if it is a 2, maybe is a triangle. Let's say it's triangle. Triangle. No, let me not use. Let's, if it is 2, let's call it square. Square. So if it is 2, we are doing square. So let's say square will be will still be length times length, irrespective of whatever thing that you have there, length times length. Right. So what if it is 3? Let's say 3 represents rectangle. 3, we say rectangle. Rectangle will give us what? Half base times height. Half base times height. Half base times height. So it means that it will be half base times height. That should be whatever thing you have here. Base is the breadth, and the height divided by 2. That's the area of rectangle. So else you can continue like that, but whatever the case, I want to say return 0, because there is no area, no further area that I can take care of. So I want you to, you can take a look at this and then add trapezium, maybe 4 for trapezium. 4 for trapezium to calculate the area of trapezium. So add that to yours. So at least we have seen how to run this. So you can call this function directly by saying there is no point of instantiating any class and things like that. You can call the method directly. That's another thing. You can call the method directly. So you can say calculate area. Calculate area. And in calculating area, let's say the shape is 3 or the shape is 2, which is this, and the length maybe 12, 4. Now there is something about JavaScript. Any other value that you don't define, any other value that you don't need, you may not even pass it, because it evaluates from left to right. So this we calculate the area and say return, say let area equals to calculate area, then console.log area. This will give you the area. This will calculate the area. However, imagine that we need to do calculation of rectangle. Now rectangle requires height, it requires the breadth, which means that 1, 2, 3, 4, which means we need the 4 arguments, and you supply 3 arguments. what it's going to do is that it's going to take the length as a second argument, and so your program may get right, wrong. Another way is that you can give a default value. So in case the field is not defined, you can give default value. For example, let's say function calculate area again, and we say shape equals to 1, length equals to 5, then breadth equals to 3. Now, what this will do, if you now write a method to calculate area, say calculate area, and you did not pass any value, what do you think will happen? Automatically, internally, if you assign shape to 1, length to 5, breadth to 5, and then use it to compute the rest that is there. So when you are defining the argument, when you put equals to, you are saying that is the default value when the value is not present. When the value is not present, that is the default value. When the value is not present, that is the default value. So that is that. Let's look for further functions. Let's look at if there's something we call a callback. No, JavaScript is so interesting here. You can have a function, and that same function should do another thing after the function has been called. For example, let's say let's look at it that we want to find students, and when we find the student, we want to print the student. We can say, let's say function find and execute, and then we say ID, and then we have callback. Now what this thing is saying is that the callback is a function that can be called after this operation is completed. That is how callback is. Now, so what I'm going to do is that find and execute. If I give an ID, I want to generate parameters. Once I give an ID, so instead of this one, where I calculate area, I call calculate area. I call calculate area. So what I want to do is that if I supply an ID, I want calculate area to be executed. So my callback here, we just say callback ID, then comma A, B, C. Now ABC could present my length. So let's say A equals to 23, B equals to 43, and then C equals to 10. Then, so if I do callback, I want it to execute. If I call find and execute, so what I will simply do is that I will say find, or let's even say calculate by ID. I think this will make more sense. Calculate by shape ID. This should make more sense to you. Calculate by shape ID. Calculate by shape ID. Now, so I'm saying that this is the ID of the shape, and this is what needs to be executed after the internal program has completed. So here, my callback is saying that I will define these parameters and then I will execute the callback. So if you say, if I just call calculate shape by ID and I put 2 here, then I put calculate area. You can see that all I just did was to put the name of the function. I just put the name of the function, and then I put 2, which is the ID. I put calculate this. I hope we are getting it. So so we have calculate shape by ID, and with the calculate shape by ID, and then you have calculate area, which is the callback. That is the method, the function to be executed after the ID has been found. After the ID has been found. For example, let's say we have students now, and I say, okay, let's have another function that we use callback function, print student. Say print student by ID. Print student by ID. And I say, okay, matric. Then I say, okay, what should you do? Console. Say console.log. That's a function. Or just say okay, so let's say our printer. Let's define a function called printer function printer print student rather equals to whatever student object we have. Print students students, and then we have console.log student. Let's have it as simple as this. Now, so now we want to write a function print student by ID. So the ID is probably the matric number, and then we need a callback. Now, so this callback, we cannot say okay, students dot get, okay, let's say let student equals to students dot get matric. Let's say in our map we use matric as the key. You understand? We use matric as the key. So after finding the student, then we execute the callback, then student. You can see how callback works now. That is, you can pass a function as an argument to another function. You can pass a function as an argument to another function, so that that function can execute the other function using the derived values. So that's how to write function. There is also what we call arrow function. Arrow function. Because JavaScript itself is also a functional programming language. It's a functional programming language. So instead of calling this function, we can use arrow command and say constant print student. That's the name of the function. Print student equals to. So we just use the arrow. Can you see? Print student equals to. Then we have this. Sorry. Equals to. Then we have this. And then it will have the arrow. It will have the arrow and say console.log. Say students. So if it doesn't have arguments, we just put open bracket space. If it has argument, let's say student now is the argument. You have this. But where you have to do more than one liner, why you have to do more than one, maybe like calculate area, for example, we can say constant calculate area equals to shape, length, right, breadth, height, whatever, then functional, and then you put call brace. Then you do return whatever you, maybe length and breadth. Let's just leave it like this. So this is arrow function. You can see when you use arrow function and when you use the function keyword. You can use the function keyword to define a function, and then you can use the arrow keyword to define a function. All right. Okay, I think we are done with basic JavaScript. I've told us, let's quickly do a recap. We have a name, a variable name, just like you have been doing a variable names in Java. So we can do the same thing. So variable name, but you have the let. There is no need of defining the data type. It will be inferred. You can have a constant. If you are going to have a constant, you should start with const, and then you can define objects. You can define object by just using call brace and put the call brace and the variables attribute of that object in what is called, this is called JSON. This is a JSON file. This is a JSON, which is an object. This object can also be converted to a string by using calling JSON dot to string or stringify. JSON dot stringify will convert everything you have, maybe student, to a string. And then if you have a string of, when we talk about a string, it means that the whole of this thing will be of this student object declaration will be in a string. You can also convert it to an object. Say let O, which is object, equals to JSON dot pass, then the string item, all right. So before we move to, and then I talk about arrays. Which are defined with rectangular brackets, and then to add to array you just do push into the array. You do push. To get, you don't have things like get. However, you can iterate through it, and when you get each item you just put dot the name, dot the attribute. You have it. We also have map, which is a key value pair. We have a I talk about 3 different ways of iterating through lists or arrays in JavaScript. The first one is traditional for loop. The next one is functional for each method. So you run for each, and then the first parameter here is directly the same thing as line 16 and 17 together. Then the next thing after the arrow is whatever thing you do with the variable that you have gotten. Then we also have map. If we need to modify the object or the item in that array, you can use map. And then we move on to map as collection. We say map can be defined by using new map keyword, and it's a what? It's a key pair value, so you can put the key country capitals. So we have that. Is it correct? Stockholm or Stockholm? Stockholm. Whichever way. Someone should find that and correct me. Okay, and then we move over to functions or methods. That this is how to write functions or methods in JavaScript. Just write function and the function name plus the variables. You don't need to define data types. They are all inferred. So we also have so we start with some. Then we look at areas, so that we can take a look at logical flow also, like using the if then statement and things like that. After that, we try to look at default values in function call. When you are defining your function, you can actually define default value for those functions, for those arguments, by putting equals to in front of them. After that, we look at callback. We said that callback is a way of passing function as an argument to another function, so that when that function is getting executed, the function in argument will now be called. So that is what is called callback in JavaScript. So we take a look of writing one function that requires callback. We say calculate shape by ID. We already have a function called where calculates shape. So so we have an ID and then the callback. So inside this function, we define this. Let's say we use the ID to identify, and then we execute the callback. Now, at the point of actually using it, where you don't need to instantiate a class, just call the method directly, pass the expected argument, which is 2. So the callback that we are passing here will be the calculate area. So that will get executed. So we also do the same thing with student data and printing of students. I think there is one more important data type that we have not talked about, which is string. Even though you don't define the data type, let's say let's name equals to Daniel. Thank you for Stockholm. Let's name equals to Daniel. So, but we already have name, Abby. So let's say test name equals to Daniel. For this Daniel now, string has different operations you have like uppercase. First, we can convert all this to characters. We can say you can have test name dot to car dot, I think it's cars. Let's see. We have I think dot cars. Okay, let's start with split. I think we have to uppercase to lowercase, convert everything to lowercase. Test name to uppercase. I think you can look at every other thing anyway. It also has split. For example, let's say we have let's names as addresses equals to, please check how to convert to character array. Addresses equals to, let's say we have a string like this, Titus Street 1 Shogbamu close, 43 Kashington Lane. So we have a string like this. We can actually convert this one. We can say addresses does split. We can split by comma, comma. That will give us all the addresses in this address string. You can do those split, and then you can also have join. You can have say let's data equals to, say, array of integer 23, 56, 21, 8. You can say arrays dot join. You can say array dot join and what you want to use to join. Maybe convert to a string and use comma as a separator. The same thing if you have a string array, you can join them together. The character art can help you to get a character at a particular position. So having said that, I think we can move on. Using Spring, causing array, using split the array, split a string into arrays. Using a string, the spread method is called you can spread, it's called a destruction. It's called destruction. For example, let's say an object A or student now. Let's say student equals to this. Let's say student equals to name Jamil, and then age and 32. What else? school, wherever, and then state equals to pony. Now, so we have something like this. We can use the structure to say that instead of calling student.name, student.age, student.school, student.state, let's say we just want to make use of the student's name and the school. We just want to print student name and school. We can destructure it by saying constant. We say bracket open and say name and school, comma school equals to student. This way you have taken name. Okay, I've used name before, so first name, let me call it first name. So I can have first name and school equals to student. So console.log student, and then print the first name and then school. Say the school is school. So what we have simply done here is that we have destructured the students by moving. If you use the left call brace tag, whatever thing you put inside are the things you are extracting. You can just say just name or age equals to student. Age into brackets open and close. It means that you have extracted only age from this student object. Now let's say we want to update this. Let's say we want to update. We could have said that to update, to update this student now. There is no surname. We want to add surname and we want to increase the age by 3. Maybe that's the correct age. Ideally, we could have said student dot name, dot age equals to student dot age, or say 32 or 42, right? And then we want to say that the state, say student.state equals to, instead of pony, we want it to be Ekiti. If you don't know Ekiti, Ekiti is in Nigeria. It's a state in Nigeria. So we have that. Now you have updated the students, but there is another way to update these students by using the spread method. Now, so what do we do? You just say student equals to, you construct a fresh, you do like you are constructing a fresh student, and you put 1, 2, 3 dots and put the student. Now then comma. Now what you have just done is that you have spread this student, everything student here, you have copied them, both variable name and value. You have copied both variable name and value to the new student, and then the addition that you want to add to it. The addition that you want to add to it is what? You have age 42, and then the state Ekiti. State Ekiti. So you have sorry. So this way, we have used spread method to copy the initial content of the student and update the student, using one line. Now, instead of the two lines we had before, we use one line to handle everything. To everything. Okay. So that said, having said that, if you are with us so far, you get the explanation. Just say clear, type clear. If you get all explanation so far, type clear. Type clear in the chat box. Let me know if it is clear. If it is not clear, say it's not clear, and that's your question. If it is clear, type clear in the chat box. If it is not clear, type not clear. Otherwise, we'll move on. If it is clear, type clear. If it's not clear, type not clear. Otherwise, we will move on. If it is clear, type clear. If it is not, say it is not. Otherwise, we move on. Otherwise, we move on. Please reply me. So that we can move on. If it is clear, type clear. If it is not, ask your question. So we move on. As it is, we will not be able to finish event programming today. We will not be able to handle event programming today. I'll probably do, let's just leave it at 1 hour 30 minutes. So which means that in the next 6 minutes we'll round up. We'll round up in the next 6 minutes. Okay. So what area is not clear? You said to an extent. I've explained the spread method. I've explained the destruction method of JavaScript. Because next class I want us to start with event programming. Programming with JavaScript. I will not spend much time on HTML again. We just go straight into working with our forms. We want to go straight to working with our form. So as an assignment, write JavaScript function to calculate area of trapezium. Write a function that splits a string that we have now. Okay, let's do like this. Given, this is going to be the second assignment. Given a list of strings, right? Return a string with maximum number of characters. Here, write a JavaScript function that returns a string with maximum number of characters. Write a string with maximum number of characters. Okay. Any questions so far? Any questions so far? Okay, so in the last 6 minutes, let's quickly look at events, object and events. In JavaScript, HTML has what we call DOM, that is document object model. DOM, document object model, which means that everything you see in an HTML is document, right? Then model is because you have like hierarchy structure of tags, like HTML. You know, you have HTML, you have the header, you have the body, and the way it gets to load that, the HTML loads the page and loads whatever thing that is in the header. The body is the one that is loaded finally. So that is the DOM model, and this continues to change as you interact with the web page. All right, so you have some inputs. So you have some input. Each input has events. Each input has events that can be attached to it. Each input has events that can be attached to it. For example, a button. A button has an event called onClick. OnClick, that is when that button is clicked. When that button is clicked. So onClick, that's an event which is also equivalent to a JavaScript function. onClick. And then you can do alert. Alert is a function of the browser that when you call alert, whatever thing you put in an alert message will be displayed. You know, it will be displayed. So alert displays message or information on the web page. Say a window message. Window message. That's for alert. So you have button onClick. onClick has an event attached to it. What happens when a button is clicked? And then we have input like text feed has these events. We have like on blur means that when you are typing and your mouse gets away from it. We have on focus. We have on change. Something can happen when on change. On change means that when something changes on the input field. We also have like the one that accepts input, like on key up, on key down. For button has on click. It also has on submit. Also has like on submit. You understand? Now, like I said, every component, every tag that is displayed, every tag that you use to compose the web page is called an element. Is called an element. So whether it is a text feed input, whether it's an input of text feed, whether it is a form, whether it is a div tag, an anchor tag, a b tag, what other tags have we treated? We have span, you understand? We have table, we have just table, we have list item, isn't it? We have another list and ordered list. all these are elements. All these are elements. Option is an attribute. You understand? Of course, for the we have select. We have input type option. We didn't really do select, did we? Yeah, we did select, where we attach options to them. So all these are called elements in JavaScript. They are elements of the web that the JavaScript can interact with. So for each element, if you really want to program it, if you really want to attach an event to it, then each element should have either a name or ID or class, at least, so that you can reference them either by the class that they belong to, or by their name, or by what? By ID. So for each element, the corresponding JavaScript is to find them. We have what we call get element by ID. That will find elements whose ID matches any ID that is supplied. There is also get element by name. There is get element by class, right? Oftentimes by class can return multiple elements, because you can apply the same class style sheet to different kind of element, to this kind of element. Can we spend 28 minutes more? Can we spend 28 minutes more? If you agree, type yes. If you don't agree, say no. Please, let's quickly vote. Let's quickly vote. Can we spend the next 28 minutes to start event programming? I've already started that, actually, but I just want us to do something more interesting. So let's quickly do that. Yes. Don't add the other statement. Just type yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Let's keep voting. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Can we spend 28 minutes more? Yes or no? Yes or no? So I have 2 votes currently. I have 2 votes out of 6. I have 2 votes out of 6. Yes or no? We have 27 minutes more. Yes or no? Yes or no? Why is it taking us time to respond? Okay, I'll just move on. Out of 2 people that voted, that's 2/2. Okay, 3/3. Okay, so let's create another page. Call it event.html. Let's quickly do that. Event.html, because next class I want us to move back. I want us to move back to a back end, and we'll come back to front end later. So create event.html. So from the event.html, so what we just do is that let's start our web page, web document HTML, right? and then we have the head like we usually do, and then title. I'll just call it Bootcamp JavaScript events. Okay, so here let's have a script tag and call it script. Let's just have a script tag. This is script tag. Okay, so then we'll start with the body of our HTML. The body of the HTML, and the body I'll just create let's have a calculator. Let's a calculator whatever, say form, right? Let's have a form to do a calculator, and this form, let's say input type equals to text. We'll give it a name equals to email. And then I will say email. Let's say email. Let's say name. Let's do the same thing for name. Okay, so in our body we are creating a form, and in that form I want an email, I want name, and then I want input. I will say the first input, I will say type equals to text, and I say name equals to arg1, and value equals to 0. Let's type let's say input 2, arg2, arg1, and then I will have a button type equals to button, type equals to button, and then calculate. And then equals to calculate. And equals to calculate. So this is basic. However, let me add something else called operation. I'll call it ops, and the ops is let's say a radio button, input type a radio button equals to radio, name equals to ops, name equals to operation. I'll just call it OP for operation, and then value equals to let's say add, so add, so I will say add, I will have add, and then the second one I will call it subtract, and the last one we'll call it multiply. Multiply. Multiply, subtract. Okay, so BR tag and then BR tag. There, so we have this then H1 simple calculator. So first, let's take a look at how this form looks like. If you have done everything that I've put so far, let's take a look at how it looks like. So this our form should look like this. So if you open your control or event.html, you have your simple calculator like this. So you have your simple calculator like this. I want to make everything look a bit bigger, so I will just say let's add the simple CSS here. I will say style form or body. Let's say body, whatever thing that is in the body tag. Let's say font size equals to 24 px, so that we have this. So it look a bit bolder. That looks a bit bolder. Then the input also, I want to make it look as big as that. So we can say body and input, or button everything, all the controls, they should have a font size of 24. So we have font size of 24. Font size of 24. Let's add a little space in between to be clearer. We have 15 minutes more. So let's see how we can make good use of that. It's getting more interesting now. So I have a style here, and the style, I'm saying that everything that is in body or type input or type button should have a font size of 24. Here, and the NBSP, that is, let's put space in between the label, space, 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 space. So with this, if we go back and refresh, we should see enough space. If we go and refresh now, so we have enough space. All right, so after that, how do we access each element here? Like I told us, you can use, because we have given a name, you have given a name. In fact, I can do something like this. You can also add ID and say calc button. So calculate. We have 12 minutes to go. 12 minutes to go. So let's go to in the script section. So we can quickly go in the script section. So let's declare our objects before attaching event to them. Let's say let name, let's say input field. No, that is not input. Let's say name field. We'll call it name field equals to get element by ID. No, we are using name. Get element by name. So that will be his name, email, let email, to document dot get element by name, because like I said, I was talking about DOM the other time, document object model, which means that your web page is a document now. So for each document now, this document is the page. So each field, like email field now, email field equals to document dot get element by name, and the name of the field is called email. There is another field, right? We have input, isn't it? We have arguments, arg1 field equals to document dot get element by name. I hope we are seeing it. Let me be sure we are seeing it. Okay, so get element by name arg1. Okay, so let's just move fast. So I'll just duplicate this. Okay, so arg1, arg2 field. Which other field do we have? We have option. We have the option. Even though it has several options, we're only going to pick one because they have the same name. So op. So here we say option field, option field equals to this, and then we have a button. No. Okay, so let's leave it like that. Let's leave it like that. First, we have seen this, so let's attach events. Let's attach event to this. Let's attach event to this. So we can programmatically add event. For example, we can say name field dot add event listener. Event listener. And then we say what is the name of the event. Maybe the name of the event is that on blur. You get it? On blur. And then this is the event. And then what happened with that event? What do we do with it? Is this we put a function. So it's just like the callback we're doing the other time. What should we do when you unblock? Now there's something when this page load, the first thing I want this thing to do is to alert, is to do a window alert and tell us welcome. So on the page load, we can just say alert welcome to calculator. Okay, we can use window.alert, or we can just use alert directly, but let's start with just alert. Let's start with just alert. So if you do that and you go to if we go back to our web page and we change If you go to the web page and you refresh, if you refresh, you will see that the page is alerting us. It says welcome to calculator. You can see alert. Welcome to calculator. Welcome to calculator. So you click on it before it renders the form. Now we can actually track whatever thing that is on this. So we are going to look at various things that we can do by attaching the event to this. So let me quickly, let's go back to our code. So for the code, if you click on this text feed and you do not type anything, we want the form to alert you that you must type. We want it to tell you that, oh, name is required. So let's do that. How do we attach event? So here we can add on blur. Then the action that we want it to call, the action we want to call, then say one. Let's say that's it, one, or one name, one. If we say one, then we can do the same thing for email. One. So for argument, let's call one. You understand? So, and then for the button, I hope we can see it. Then for the button, let's attach an on-click event, on click, and we'll say, if you click on it, what should you do? Calculate. Let's say calculate. We want it to call calculate. On click, on blur, so we want it to calculate now. So now let's go back to our JavaScript. We want to call calculate now. So all these functions, let's write them first. So we write say function one message equals to this field is required. I hope we understand this function one with argument message because of this field is required. Who understand what that means? I'm writing a function called one, and the one has a parameter called message with equals to this field is required. Who can you simply tell us what that means? Function one with message equals to this field is required. We can explain why we have it that way. We can explain quickly type. No time to check time. We have function 1, and that function message equals to this. Who can explain what that means? Who can explain what this means? Who can explain what that means? The function name is called 1. It has a variable name called or parameter or argument called message, but the message contains equals to. Who can quickly tell us what that means? Who can quickly tell us what that means? Message 1. And that one has a message, but this message says this field is required because of this field required. Ordinarily in JavaScript, we could have just written a method called 1. No, not event listener, not from event listener. It simply means that we have a function called function 1, and then with argument message. This is simply the class 1 with argument message. However, we want to ensure that when message is not defined, it should default to this field is required. That is when message is not supplied. I explained that when we were doing JavaScript functions. So this field is not defined, so we'll just say alert message. Function 1, and then we write another function called calculate. It's called default value for argument. When that argument is not supplied. So let's write another function called calculate. And in this calculate, we will stop on calculate, and then we will touch up our event JavaScript in the next class. So I want to leave it here so I don't scatter your head. So calculate here. Now, what do we want to calculate? We want to calculate whatever thing. We'll just alert the results. We want to alert results. So okay, so instead of 1, I'm going to call it show message. I'm going to change the 1 to show message so it doesn't confuse anybody. So I'll call this show message. Now calculate. So for the calculator, we only have 2 arguments, and what we are simply doing is that whatever thing that is in the argument, so we will have say let results, and then we will get, how do we get the values? 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 So let's take this. We have this. We already have, field 1, field argument 1, field argument 2, field. All right. So in calculating, so let's just say let A equals to arg1 field dot value. The value will give you whatever thing that is there. But at the same time, since I want to use integer, I'll just say pass int. Let's do pass int. That's for A, and then let's convert it to integer B. Pass int argument 2 dot value, whatever thing that is put there, and then our option field will be option the value. So we'll say if option field dot value equals to add. Let's alert the add. I hope we are following. Then show message add. Show message sum say plus A plus B. So else if option field is subtract, I'll just call it sub, or let's just leave it there. Subtract deduction or subtraction, then that will be A minus B, right? Then say the default is multiply, else we can do more with this else show message multiply A asterisk B. A asterisk B. So not to bug us, I think we should leave it at this. Let's leave it at this. Arg1 field document or get element. Document dot get element by name. Document dot get element by name. After getting the elements, then we have the value dot value to get whatever thing, and then whatever thing we get there will give us a string, and then we can convert the string to integer by calling pass int. If we want to convert it to double, we can say pass float, right? So And then based on the option, we also get the option, which is the option fee.value. We check whether it is add, subtract, otherwise we'll perform multiplication. And then we want to alert whatever that is there. Okay, so on click calculate, on click calculate, on click show message. So let's try and check it out. If it works, if it doesn't, we'll fix any bug and close for today. So we refresh, welcome, and then here argument 1 is 23, argument 2, yeah, argument 2 is 42, and then I select add. I select add and I click calculate. I click calculate, nothing happens. So let's look at why it does not happen. So if you look at your console, say document, I think I've refreshed that. Okay, let's fix that. Let's quickly fix that. Where are we? So let's fix that. Document document.get. There is no need of this, so I'm just going to comment it out for now, so it won't be disturbing us. So show message, documents, document that gets elements by name. Okay, so which one are we? Line 12. Okay, I think this has been corrected. So 40 this invent the get elements by name. Okay, all right, hold on, let me element by name, line 12, the get elements by name. So we look at elements by name. Okay, I'll probably move the script below. Let's take the script below. Inside the body. Line 24. It says not a function. I'm not seeing that. Okay. Document.get document dot get element by name, name field, because the document is not ready yet. So I'm going to leave this. Okay. Console 23 56 add line 36. We still have in calculate documents dot get element by name says no function. I think we have to fix that. Okay, let me try ID. Let's use ID first, but that is ID. Let's remove the one here first. I think we'll have to end now. I think we have to end now so we can deal with this of the class. Can deal with this of the class. Can deal with this. Trying to see add. Okay. So I think we'll have to fix this in our next class. I'll push the update to the repository. We can continue next class. Thank you so much for where will the result be displayed. Currently we are alerting the results. We are using alert to show the results. We are calling the alert, using alert to show the results. We'll just alert it on the screen. So if you save the file, and you work with the source code, you get it alerted on the screen. So that's that for now. Let's meet up again in the next class. I'll push the code update so you can go through the code. All right, so thank you for joining for today. I'll see you again in day 15. Bye bye.